Hi, Carrie. Thanks for opting into the video critique here. I just pulled up your icon set and it is very cute. I like the bug theme. So let's go ahead and zoom in a bit so we can see these. One thing I notice right off the bat is I feel like the first three go together and the last two go together. And I think that's because the last two are singular colors and just an outline of a shape, really. And the first three have a lot of extra detail. So I don't know if you're adding in detail to these two and just getting started on them right now, but either I would have all of them be a silhouette or all of them have a similar amount of detail. And that's going to help them feel a little bit more like a set. I would probably, even on this ladybug, get rid of this black stroke on the outside. I know it's really hard to tell your brain to get rid of black strokes, but it's really going to help this feel a little bit more contemporary, even though you probably like it like this. It will always help an icon to take away that black edge on everything. Okay. Um, the wings, too. Is there a way we could do something that's not this thin line around there? And if you feel like you absolutely have to have it, I want to probably have it be thicker than what it is right now. Because we want to make sure we're never, and actually you don't really lose that, but when we get really small, we want to make sure we're not losing any detail. Okay, so probably make this thicker at the very least. Watch small things. You can see where there's a little bit of this white line along the edge where these are overlapping. So make sure those just cohesively stay black all the way through. Could possibly even make these a little bit thicker. I think that would help, making these thicker and maybe even the legs thicker. Okay, and then this guy, I think he's off to a good start. This one, I'm not sure what direction you're going, whether you're going to add in detail here or color here. And what you're going to do with this one, I'm guessing you would have them be somewhat similar colored because the ant really is pretty much all black. So you might have to just add in maybe the legs are slightly different, or maybe there's like an ant that's more a brown ant than a black ant. And here I think you have some opportunity to add in your detail on your grasshopper. Let me show you some examples for ways that we could go. Okay, I'm gonna make these a little bit smaller. Okay, so this icon set over here has a good amount of detail on the edges. This actually is very similar to other students that's doing a bug icon set. I'm trying to find one that's a little bit more. Yours are pretty straightforward in terms of shape. They don't have a ton of, they don't have faces or details. We could add, okay, so I don't like how thin these lines are, so let's keep looking. These are interesting. Okay, so look at this. I thought yours was a grasshopper, but maybe it's a grasshopper, I think. Okay, so see, this is all monochromatic, but see the amount of detail it has on that. So you could kind of head in this direction a little bit with having maybe two kinds of colors on them, or the ant having two kinds of colors here. That might help them feel like those other ones that you've already done. These look interesting. Okay, now you do have a shape on the outside of them. And let's see. Okay, not seeing anything I love. You do have a shape on the outside of them, which I think is good. I would probably make it maybe a little bit thicker. Black isn't a horrible choice, but could you, and watch the placement, see how this one's off the edge of the page. It's not totally centered. I would probably make this a little bit thicker, and you could use this as a good opportunity for you to really hone in on a color scheme. Right now, each icon is differently colored, and there's no real scheme going on here. So maybe your color scheme is these four colors, which is super simple and organic. Maybe it's a yellow, red, blue, and green. And then you choose to use the blue and the yellow as your background color or as the alternating circles for the backgrounds. Okay, so maybe these are all blue or yellow or something going around the edges. Okay. Um, it looks like they're placed pretty well. Your other choice is you could have the whole background circle be yellow, for example, and then make your bugs quite a bit larger. And they could even hang off the edge of the circle, which might look really nice because these have a lot of jutting features to them. So picture, a light blue circle here, but the bee's maybe stinger is hanging off the bottom and it's a lot bigger, or the bottom of the dragonfly is hanging off, the antenna on the ant. That would be something that would look really contemporary. Um, let's see. Gonna look. Okay, these are interesting. See how this stroke is really thick? That's kind of the direction you could go. And then look at how thick even the antenna are on here. These are definitely more simplistic than what you're working with, but it's kind of showing the amount of detail or lack of detail that could be visually impressive in a design. Um, those ones, I'm not usually fans of using shapes that aren't circles or squares in the background. You could really hone in on a color scheme by having the outline be a different color, but I would only do that if it's really a thick stroke around the edges. Maybe here's kind of what you're going for, but really thick. One thing I wanted to show you, another option is if you did squares. I like the amount of detail on these ones. Okay, so these are, I put in bug icon sets. Um, this is a good amount of detail. Nothing is getting too small, and they're pretty monochromatic, but they're using these greens and blues and yellows to have a really nice, and the browns to have a nice color scheme, even though it's kind of varied. Okay, so try to tap into something like this for your color scheme. And I think that's going to help elevate them and take them to the next level. The icons themselves are the very first thing you design, but then that background is the second thing. And that's often what will make your design really stand out and be even more impactful than it would have been even just with really solidly designed, excuse me, solidly designed icons. Okay, this is a cool effect. You may or may not want to play around with it, but this is called a long shadow. And that might look nice with your design, um, depending on if you can make these legs thicker. Okay, so see how thick the legs are, and then they've pulled this off. You can find good tutorials for that just by doing Illustrator long shadow tutorials. Okay. Um, so I think the main thing is first of all, work on these lines. Make sure they all feel like a set if you're just looking at them all together. Work on thinking in terms of shapes as opposed to lines. I think that's going to help. Maybe, I don't know, are the antenna actually that close? Something about the ladybug is looking a little weird to me for some reason. Let's see. Okay, so this is helpful. See how there aren't these lines, but this is a shape, that's a shape, and then they did a cool feature where half of the design is a little bit lighter and half is darker, so it feels like it's split. That's a really cool feature. Now this one is a little bit more like what you're doing, and I don't think I can see clearly how this one looks more professional. Hopefully you're training your eye to where you can kind of see that too. This one looks really nice. Look at these legs and how they're not just the lines, they're kind of different shapes, which this is a little bit more difficult to do. But it's this split maybe in the ladybug that helps it feel a little bit more realistic. Um, okay, so a good idea is to just kind of look through some of these examples and say, okay, what can I do to take my cute little ladybug to the next level? All right, you're heading in the right direction. Just keep on doing that, hone in on that color scheme, and then probably the background is once you get your icons really feeling like they all go together, the next thing I would do to take your set to the next level. All right. Thanks for opting in and good luck this week. If you want to email me a second draft, feel free to do so. I'll take a look at it and send you back some thoughts. All right, bye.